Geoffrey here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can rebuild your trust in your relationship, especially after there's been some compulsive lying or cheating between the two of you. And I really want you to stick around till the end of this video because this topic is going to be very massive. And what I'm going to show you here is the path that will go beyond what other coaches or what other videos are talking about this topic. And this path has really given a lot of clarity to all my students who are facing the same problem. And if there's given a lot of clarity into the path of how you rebuild that relationship for them, I'm sure it'll help for you as well. Now, in case we haven't met, my name is Geoffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with the right skills and with the right mindsets to be able to design a thriving relationship for themselves. So if you want more videos or more content on this topic, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos 3 times every single week. Now, the first thing you need to know about rebuilding trust is that this is a very emotional game, not a logical game. And the reason I say that is that the biggest mistake I see people make is making this into a logical game. So for example, they might try to use some logical appeals here. For example, they might make some promises to their partner of, I won't do this again, or this won't happen again. Or they might even back up this promises with more justifications on the back end to add more logical weight to whatever they're saying. Or sometimes they might even spend time, trying to logically justify or make excuses of why they did the things they did. For example, they might say, I lied because I didn't feel safe enough to actually tell you what was going on in the relationship or what I truly felt. I cheated because I really wasn't feeling good or satisfied about the relationship. So again, they're using these logical appeals to tell their partner, hey, there were some reasons to what I did, and I hope logically you understand those reasons why. And the funny thing is that when you're trying to make these logical appeals or you're trying to make these excuses, we often get pretty upset when our partner doesn't really buy our logical appeals or doesn't really believe our excuses, doesn't really want to listen to it. And our anger here, the way we're upset, can be in a very active form where we are maybe responding in anger, or it can be in a passive form where we might be walking away, stonewalling, shutting down ourselves and saying, you know what, what's the point of even talking to you if we can't even resolve this? But I want to show you here why the logical appeals here not only does not work, but it can be dangerous as well. So the first thing here is understanding again that trust is a very emotional thing. And at the end of the day, it needs to be your partner's decision to want to trust you. And it must be their emotional decision to do so. And in fact, sometimes telling someone to trust you may actually make him trust you less. So imagine a salesman here, a car salesman, and all he does, he doesn't really ask you any questions. All he does is just tell you, trust me, this car's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. You must buy it. Is that gonna make you trust that salesman more or trust him less? Most likely less, because you're most likely gonna be seeing this person as more of a sleazy salesman than anything really. And the second reason why this doesn't work is that statements mean nothing without discovery first. So to give you an example here, imagine you are expressing some gripe that you have about your partner to your partner. So you might say, hey honey, I don't like it when you do X. And your partner responds by saying, okay, fine, I heard you. I'm not going to do it again, I promise. So imagine if that's her response, and imagine if her response instead was, she listened to you, she discovered about why doing this affected you so much, how come it meant so much to you, how important this is to you, and she discovered all the ways that she might have subconsciously done X and annoyed you here. But what's funny here is that when you start to believe that your partner understands things from your point of view, the full picture of why something is so important to you, so crucial to you, it starts to build trust in you. The discovery itself builds trust in you. She didn't need to make any promises, didn't need to make any statements, but somehow simply her discovering builds trust in you. And the last reason here of why this not only doesn't work, but also can be dangerous and that it can backfire on you pretty hard is that if you break this promise to her, then you might find yourself in a position where you are destroying the trust issue even more, and it's even more difficult to repair it now. So again, if none of these logical appeals actually works, so what does actually work? To understand this, we need to understand the different dimensions here of what it takes to rebuild trust. So first, let's investigate the victim's dimension. So within the victim's dimension here, there's two sub-dimensions of trust that you need to think about. The first is that you need to be able to lead a conversation first, to be able to let the victim get to the root core of understanding the what and the why behind the toxic actions that just happened, that caused the breaking of trust. And the reason why finding this root here is very, very crucial is because that is the only way the victim can feel like, okay, if the root is found, discovered, and that's the actual root, then if we kill that root, if we fix that root, then it will kill all the toxic actions as well. And without finding to that root, your partner, the victim, will find it really, really difficult to trust that the toxic actions will not happen again. So that's the first subdimension of the victim's dimension. The other subdimension here is that there needs to be a discussion of the changes needed from both parties to ensure that the toxic actions never happen again. And this agreement not only needs to be a logical agreement, but it needs to be a very emotional agreement as well. And we'll talk about what this means a bit later. But once you find this agreement, it needs to be backed up by consistent actions. Now, the instigator here has some dimensions as well. Now, one of the dimensions again is that he needs to find the root cause of what made him do the toxic actions in the first place, right? So whether it's lying or cheating, he needs to understand why did he do the lying or why did he do the cheating in the first place? What was that core reason to get him to that place? And this is not about giving them excuses of why cheating or lying was justified. It's simply to understand the root core, be a scientist about it and finding the root core of what caused that problem in the first place. And again, for the instigator here, the reason why the root is important is that he also needs to believe that once they find the root and they fix the root, they come to a win-win solution on the root, then the toxic actions will not happen again. And he needs to be able to trust that he will not play out the toxic actions in the future. So a lot of people think that, when it comes to trust building, it's only the victim that needs to rebuild their trust. But actually, the instigator also needs to rebuild the trust in themselves to be able to do this as well. And part of rebuilding the trust in themselves is also making the right internal shift within themselves so that they're no longer using their willpower or their fake it till you make it approach to be able to make these changes in the long term. And the reason this is crucial is because if you're using your willpower to do something, to make the changes, if you're using your fake it till you make it approach to make these changes, you can sustain it for maybe a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, but it will be difficult for you to trust in yourself that you can do this for life. So if you can really touch on and master the building of all these sub-dimensions here, that is how you slowly rebuild your trust in your relationship. So, this might seem a bit complex right now. So let me distill it down for you even further to give you basically the 3 key skills that you need to really master if you're trying to rebuild trust in your relationship. Now, the first key skill that you need to think about is your ability to lead a conversation in a way that allows you to find that root cause for what the toxic behavior is based on. And again, this is crucial because in order for you both to be able to trust that the toxic actions will not happen again is if you found the root of that toxic action and you fix that on that level, on the root level, not on the surface level. And when you're picturing a conversation, you can think about this like trying to dig a tunnel underground, right? So first, you have to crack the surface first. And what it means to crack the surface in a conversation setting is your ability to be able to acknowledge the difficult truths that come out during a conversation. So whether it's your partner telling you, for example, that she doesn't trust you anymore, doesn't love you anymore, that she feels hopeless, it's you not trying to justify this, trying to not correct this, trying to not have solutions to this. Instead, you simply responding by saying, okay, you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling like you can't trust me. I understand. I respect that. That's the acknowledgement part, because without the acknowledgement part, nothing else can happen here. So once you crack the surface with your acknowledgement, what you want to do now is to start to dig deeper. And you dig deeper by asking the right questions and asking the questions in a very non-interrogative way, in a way that will actually open up your partner here. And a great technique that you can use here is what I call the repeat or paraphrase and clarify. So this is when you're simply repeating or paraphrasing whatever your partner just told you, and then asking her to clarify that thing that she just said. So for example, if she tells you, I don't trust you, I don't love you anymore, you might say, okay, it seems like you're struggling to trust me and love me and have any hope for the relationship here. Can you say more about that? And notice here that the tone that I use, the spacing I use of silence between words really make a difference in making this less interrogative and more of a discovery question that comes out of good intention. And the thing you need to understand here is that as you're trying to rebuild a relationship, there's going to be a lot of resistance from your partner, especially when you're trying to rebuild trust. And this resistance can come in a very active form when your partner is very angry, for example, or it can come in a very passive form when she's shutting down on you and walking away and stonewalling you. But nonetheless, when you meet resistance here, you need to be able to push past that resistance a bit more. And the way you can do this is simply by acknowledging that resistance and again, asking her to clarify how she feels about that. So if she's angry, for example, just acknowledge that and say, okay, it seems like that made you really angry. Can you tell me more about why you feel that way? Can you tell me more about your feelings? Okay, it feels like you're shutting down on me right now. Can you tell me more about why you're shutting down? And if you cannot break through that resistance in this one conversation, understand that that's very okay and it's very normal. Remember again that if you watch my other videos here, when you're trying to rebuild trust, safety, or anything in the relationship, you want to have the mindset of farming, not hunting. You're not looking for this short-term result and for things to change drastically in just one day, one conversation. Instead, you're having the mindset of simply planting the right seeds in every conversation to slowly build that trust, to slowly build that safety. So even if you cannot break through that resistance today, feel free to retreat. But retreat in a way where you're not giving up, but simply planting the right seeds along the way. And I've done many videos on how you can retreat in a proper way here. So if you are interested in learning more about that, you can stay tuned to the end of this video where I put a link to that video where I discuss on how you can retreat properly without giving up and while still planting the right seeds in the first place. And the last part about leading conversations here is your ability to recap a conversation properly so that you can be sure that whatever you found here is the root. So sometimes we think we're at the root of the problem, but we really are not at the root of the problem. And the way you discover this is simply by recapping to say, okay, honey, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is X, Y, and Z. Is that right? And let her say no to this. If she says no to this, that means you haven't gone to the root. Then go back to the questioning stage and discover further until you get to the root. But once she says, yep, that's right, your recap was correct, that's when you know you've gone to the root. And that brings us to the second skill you need to master, which is your ability to come to a win-win solution. But this win-win solution needs to be on a very emotional level, not on a logical level. And the way you do that is by doing two things. One is that whenever you're trying to express your suggestions, don't express it as a statement, express it as a question. And the second part to this is not only address what you're going to do, but also address what your partner can do to help you not play out the toxic behaviors as well. So basically, this is when you're trying to have the conversation of your win is my win and my win is your win. And so you might say something like, okay, in my perspective, it will really help me to not play out the toxic behavior if you can help me do X, Y, and Z, for example. And in the meantime, what I'll work on is ABC so that I'm not doing the toxic behavior that we kind of agreed on. What do you think? And again, if she responds no, she doesn't like your what do you think, go back, because that means that you don't have the right information yet to be able to come up with a win-win suggestion for the both of you. But if she says, okay, that makes sense, then that is how you know you've come to a win-win agreement. But notice here that the win-win agreement here is on a very emotional level. You're not forcing or imposing your partner to say yes to this. She is voluntarily saying yes to your ideas herself. And that's how you get that win-win solution, but on a very emotional level. And also understand that you might need to repeat this, process this conversation of discovery and also finding that win-win solution many times throughout your journey of rebuilding trust. It's not like you have this one conversation and this one conversation will solve all the problems. Both of you are going to have doubts throughout this process. And each time these doubts come up, you need to be able to have this conversation of discovery and also finding that win-win solution to realign and reinstill that hope and trust back again. And this is why making the important mindset shift, internal shifts first, is going to be very crucial, because that's going to help you, stay patient throughout this whole process of discovery. When these doubts come up and you're having to repeat the same conversation over and over and over again. And not only that, making the internal shift is really the only way that you can stop yourself from using your willpower or your fake it till you make it approach to make sure that you don't play out the toxic changes over time in the long term in a relationship. Now, again, your partner is watching you like a hawk here. Their hypothesis now is that I shouldn't trust my partner. I've trusted my partner many times in the past and they've been burned. So they're looking for every single evidence to suggest that why they shouldn't trust their partner. And you could do 100 things right at this point, but is there one thing you do wrong that's gonna crumble that has the cards? And so it's really crucial that you try to internalize all the changes yourself and see your relationship, see yourself, and see the techniques from a completely new paradigm to where you're not using your willpower to accomplish it. Now, there are so many more levels and nuances to this. And as you can tell in this video, you really can't afford to make mistakes here or let yourself take so much time to learn the communication skills that's necessary to rebuild this trust. So if you're looking for a way to learn these skills faster and more reliably, then you want to join me in my free masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In this masterclass, I'll show you the exact process that I teach all my students to rebuild that trust in the relationship slowly but surely, and do it in a way where they're not using your willpower to do it, but because they've made the internal shifts from inside out, they can do all the right things more effortlessly. So if this masterclass sounds interesting to you, then I want you to click the link above my head and also the link down in the comments below or also in the description box below this video as well. And if you're looking for a free guide that allows you to guide conversations better, lead conversations better in a way that never escalates to arguments, and in a way that rebuilds trust over time, like we talked about, then you also want to click the link above my head or also down in the comments or in the description box below this video as well. And if you're looking for a community where you can post your questions and actually get good support and good clarity on those questions, then you also want to join me in my free Facebook group where you can do exactly that. And if you want to join my Facebook group, the link is also down below this video. In the meantime, do leave a comment below on what you found most insightful or most eye-opening from this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment below. And if you found this video to be helpful and valuable, then give it a like and subscribe to this channel as well for more content like this one. In the meantime, I will leave you with these 2 other videos that will equip you with the right skills and knowledge to be able to design a thriving relationship for yourself. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video.